Hi, it's Ellen. I'm back after 2 years. I know back in 2020 I promised you a third video, and I'm very sorry it's taken me 2 years to come back. I have been working on a book, and that is now finished, so I have more time to devote to sentence diagramming fun. I've made a decision not to go back through the first two videos and remind myself of everything so that the third follows perfectly from those. Instead, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to go with slightly shorter videos or significantly shorter videos and do them in more snack sized doses rather than full meals. Okay. So I've picked a couple of sentences today based on a question that someone asked me in the comments on the previous two videos. Let's go ahead and see what those look like. For those of you who have fully absorbed the first two videos, this is going to be perhaps a little basic, but I think it's a good refresher and it's going to reorient me into the delightful world of sentence diagramming. So sentence number 1, Abe is boring. If any of you are named Abe, I'm really sorry. I don't mean it's not personal. It just seemed like a good short name that fit in the small space I had allotted here. So I went with it. Now, that ing form may make some of you think this looks like a verb. It is not a verb. That is an adjective, and you have to diagram it like that. So we're going to do the horizontal line just as always. I hope my lines are as straight as they were or as they were 2 years ago. Um, this is, as I've mentioned before, part of the art form. Abe is the subject. Is the verb. So don't forget to make your line go all the way through the line, the vertical line to go all the way through the horizontal line. And then boring is an adjective and it is the subject complement. It describes Abe. So here we put the word boring and we are done with sentence diagram 1. Now I have some permutations on the Abe and the boring theme. So let's move to the next slide. Abe is boring me. This is no longer an adjective. This is now an action verb. Something's happening here. And we are going to have to diagram it differently. I think this is interesting to look at how a single word that, looks the same can really vary in how it's being used sentence to sentence. That's part of the fun of language, is to kind of have a sense of the magic of how these words dance around depending on how they're used. But Abe is still the subject. He is still boring, I'm afraid. But now we have to diagram these two verbs together. So those go into the verb spot on the right side of the more serious of the vertical lines you draw through these. And then me is the direct object. Abe, subject, is boring, verbs, and me, direct object. This is still fairly simple. Let's advance to slightly more words again. Abe is boring a hole into the ground. So what is boring there? It is still a verb. It has a different meaning from the boring in the preceding example, but it is still a verb. It's an action verb here. Something he's doing something. So here we go. Let's draw. I just barely have room with that drill. If you are an expert on drills or whatever that is that you bore a hole into the ground with, I'm sorry that my drawing isn't better, but I definitely do not specialize in that. Otherwise, I might not be. That's probably why I'm here drawing diagramming videos instead of operating heavy equipment. So I'm going to just stick to my little computer screen for now. Abe is the subject. And then once again is boring. This time he's not boring a person, he is boring the hole. And then we put modifiers and articles. Oops, let me try that again. I really don't like it when the angle of my drop down lines isn't quite right. Okay, so it was boring a hole. And now the question is, where do you put into the ground? What is that? Oh, look, I forgot a period here. Let me add that. Into the ground. Do you remember what those are? Those are prepositional phrases. And then the question is, where do we put it? It does not go under Abe. Does it go under is boring or does it go under hole? I vote because it tells you where to put it under the verb, which is lucky because look, I don't really have time to put or have space to put it under whole. So I'm going to put it under the verb into, and then ground is the object of that preposition. Do you remember this? So you have in a prepositional phrase, you first have the preposition, which is into here. Then you have the object of the preposition, and then you have whatever's left. If I had said the hard, cold ground, then I would also put hard and cold on separate diagonal lines under the ground. Have I gotten everything now? Abe is boring. Direct object is the whole. It receives the action of the verb. Goes under whole, into the ground is a prepositional phrase that is adverbial in its use. It tells you where it goes under is boring. And I think we are done. So I'm going to give us an A plus for the day, and I hope that was clear, and I will be back. Oh, wait, I think I should learn my lesson. Don't promise anything. You may see me back here soon. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for waiting around 2 years if you were one of those people. Bye.